Hello, everyone, and you are watching the Walter's Wanderings Travel Podcast, episode number 8. 8 is great. We're going to work on getting to 9 and 10 later this week, so we got a busy week planned with the travel podcast. But I want to remind you before we bring in our guest, Lionel Garcia from Azamara Cruises, that if you book anything with me for travel in 2021, has to begin before December 31st or on December 31st, 2021. Has to start also from January 1st onwards. You get $21 for each $1,000 of land or cruise fare. So simply put, if your cruise with Azamara Cruises is going to be $5,000, then you will go ahead and make sure you get a beautiful whopping $105. And if you have a land vacation with me for $4,000, you get $84 back. So that's going to be great. So that's my special offering for 2021. And we'll wait for Lionel to get back on board. Somehow his signal went bye-bye, such as the ways of the internet. Hold on one second. We'll make sure that he's on and checking in with us and all of that. Okay. All right. In the meantime, I want to let you know that later on today, I'll be posting up a podcast with Deacon Tim Kennedy. He's led an interesting life as an NYPD officer, a deacon in the Catholic Church, and a wonderful travel agent like myself. And then tomorrow we'll be talking about Ireland and the British Isles and other places in Europe with CIE Tours and Megan Allen. So we're going to go ahead and wait for Lionel's arrival. Next week we have another guest, Jan McNaughton. We'll be talking about Iberostar Resorts. And then following that, we'll have Jen Lee on the 17th of December. And she's going to talk about travel trends for 2021 and how you can take advantage of great prices. All right, looks like we're getting Lionel back on. There he is. All right, here we go. And we are here with Lionel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank goodness I'm glad I was a professional broadcaster because I was able to vamp while you were away.
Well, thank you.
So Lionel Garcia is with Azamara Cruises. Now, if you've never heard of Azamara Cruises, and quite honestly, until I met Lionel in our Facebook groups and all, I didn't know too much about Azamara Cruises. But it's, I guess we'll let Lionel describe what they are and the history of the cruise line and how they got enveloped as part of the Royal Caribbean family and all that. So go ahead, tell us the background of Azamara Cruises.
I will, Scott. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you today. So Azamara is a 3-ship cruise brand that was developed by the Royal Caribbean Group about 13 years ago. The intent of Royal Caribbean creating Azamara was to build a brand wrapped around delivering destination. Cruising has evolved into becoming more and more about the ships and less about the destinations. But there are a group of people that love to travel because of the destination, not necessarily only because of the ships. So that's the DNA of Azamara is called destination immersion. So we operate 3 identical vessels, each one carrying no more than 700 passengers, 408 crew members to serve the needs of those 700 passengers. And we do one thing really, really well, and that is delivering destination. And how we do that is by late nighting and overnighting in many of the ports that we visit. So better said, if I had to describe Azamara in one sentence, I would say that we are a land vacation company that uses floating hotels. Because on a 10-night trip, it's easy to say that 8 of those 10 nights we're in port. And of those 8 nights, half of them, we have a departure of 8 p.m. or later. Gives our guests the opportunity to truly immerse themselves in the destination, enjoy the culture, try the food, try the drink, really make something special out of their time in that destination.
So because of the small size of the ships, another advantage that Azamara has, say, over those big quantum class Royal Caribbean ships, is the ability for the ships to actually go into ports that are more accessible to these kind of ships. So give us an example or two of ports that Azamara goes to that are really, really underrated, but you all have been able to curate and determine to be excellent choices for cruisers.
Well, I have to say, the two examples I personally have experienced that I want to share, they're not necessarily underrated ports, but it's underrated the fact that we're there and how we deliver it. So the first port is the port of Venice. Many people who have been to Venice by a cruise stop at the large ship terminal and have to take different forms of transportation just to get to the heart of Venice, which, let's argue, for argument's sake, say St. Mark's Square. Well, with Azamara, we dock right on the Grand Canal, the same terminal that is used by the riverboats on the Grand Canal, and our guests can actually walk to St. Mark's Square from the terminal, something that typically wouldn't be allowed for most cruise guests who stop at the large ship terminal. They have to take some form of transportation to get there.
Yeah, it's a train and then a boat and then your feet. So it's like it's like traveling. It's like my commute. If I took the train from where I live into New York City, I have to do another train. That's a pain in the butt. So I understand that fully.
And then another port that I experienced not long ago was the port of Bordeaux. And on that voyage is called Wine and Romance. So you can imagine what it's about. One of our guests was talking about how she felt like there was an IV attached to her with a wine bag dripping into her veins because it was the Wine and Romance. But we spent 3 days and 2 nights in Bordeaux, and other ships can't stop in Bordeaux. They stop in a town outside of Bordeaux and commute in. We stop on the Garonne. We're actually 15 minutes closer to the center of town than the riverboats on the river. And so you could step right off the ship into town. And it was quite an experience to really feel like the ship was my hotel. I actually never ate dinner or lunch on board the vessel because you can say that Bordeaux or France is one of the best places for food and gastronomic adventures. And I seek those whenever I travel the world. So some of the best wine I have had was there, and some of the best food I experienced was there. So those are two examples that are not typically highlighted. Venice, maybe Bordeaux, not so much, but the ship docks right in the center of town.
That is amazing. There's no doubt about it. Because I had been to Venice, and I once took a bus, and then was able to get right to the main place where you go to the train, and then the other time I was actually there, and as part of a tour, and I stayed on Lido, which is a fabulous island, wow. And so you're able to still Valparaiso Inn and all of that. But I'm telling you, those places with that it's access. I think it's accessibility that you're talking about, and a 700 passenger ship. It's not too small. It's not like one of those Windjammer or one of those other sailboat type ships. It's bigger enough that you still have full amenities for the time that you're actually cruising in the water, and for the occasional day at sea you might have. Right. But still, it's still small and intimate enough that you get that extra experience. So
another. It's just to follow up on what you said. Another way I describe it sometimes is that we deliver destinations like riverboats do, but we deliver the cruise experience like a large ship can, because we have a lot of the same features and benefits of a larger ship, but we are intimate with the destination just like the riverboats. So that's another, just to support what you were just saying.
Sure. Now, when you go on Azamara compared to, say, Royal Caribbean or Celebrity, the other two sister parts of the whole corporation there, what are some of the other differences besides ship size and the accessibility and that immersion, quality that Azamara has? What are some of the other things?
Well, I think the other biggest difference that really stands out to me is the fact that we only have 700 guests on our vessel, and we have 408 crew members to serve those 700 guests. That's a ratio of like 1 to 1.7, which is closer than the 2 to 1 of some of the more upper end brands. So, and then another example, and I don't feel bad saying this because Oasis Oasis and Allure and Royal Caribbean are sister brands, but their lifeboat, for example, holds 369 guests. So my crew can almost fit on one lifeboat. The longest time the joke was, let's take some lifeboats off Oasis and Allure and allow us to build another ship, because it's so small. So I would say that intimacy between the guest and the crew is one of the biggest differences that really stand out to me. Another one, we talked about accessibility and access to destinations, but it's a fact 66% of the ports we call on, our sister brands cannot. And this is changing and evolving because celebrity is becoming more inclusive, but Azamara already is a more inclusive product. We include everything on the price tag, with the exception of airfare, internet, and shore excursions. So those three things are not included, but everything else is included in our price. So that is another kind of difference maker as well.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about pulling out your wallet, as much. Any shore excursions, you might want to do that are recommended by the cruise line. Obviously, you'd pay for. Internet, beyond any special promotions, you'd have to pay for.
Right.
A lot of people like to stay unplugged when they're away, but of course, when you're in port, you can probably scarp a 4G signal or something somewhere, anyways. What's the onboard experience like when it comes to dining and entertainment on the ship for when it is actually cruising and in motion?
Sure. So one of the things I love about our ships is the meals, right? They're really good. What we try to do is also implement the different regions that we're visiting, but also the regions of the world that we visit as a brand, because we're such the diverse brand and we're trying to connect cultures and connect people. We actually highlight a different region of the world every night on our menu. So not only do we have the staples that everybody loves, like a steak, a chicken, a pasta, a fish, made creatively every night, curated by our chefs, but we also highlight a regional inspired menu for that one country. So one night is Turkish night, another night is Greeks, another night is Japanese, Spanish, Italy. It is a lot of fun because then if you want to be adventurous, you may feel a little bit safer to be adventurous because the ship has prepared it and you could try something new. My favorite night is Indian night. I love Indian food. And you could find that regionally inspired menu everywhere, not only in our buffet, where we'll have a whole section dedicated with everything from appetizers to desserts from that region, to then regionally inspired dishes that you will find in the dining room. And then with us, it's open seating, no set dining time. So you come and enjoy your meal when you want to, where you want to. We also have 2 specialty restaurants. Those do require a reservation and do have a cover charge of $30 per guest per visit, unless they're traveling in one of our suites, then that is included. As far as entertainment, we do our best to give you a diverse mix of not only our entertainment staff, because we have a collection of singers and dancers and performers, and we have a cruise director, but then we do our best where possible to source local entertainers. Well, they'll come on board and perform for you. One of our most popular events is a nighttime event called it's called our White Night. We're rebranding it now to be Night Under the Stars, where we ask our guests to dress in white. But that is a buffet that's prepared outdoors by our chefs and our officers, and then our entertainment staff entertains our guests. That evening, we bring out all the tables out to the pool deck, and the highlight is a local group of the destination comes and performs for us. So we get to do this while we're in port, and that's how we get to bring on the local entertainers, is because they're not cruising with us. They actually come on, do the performance, and then go back home. So it is exciting, and that's what we try to do, just to give our guests that taste of the local life, or a taste of that destination.
Well, I know that for that Night Under the Stars, I'll just grab myself one of the sheets from the bed and make a toga, and I'll be all set. Because white and I usually don't mix very well. It usually comes out rather dirty in the end. But anyways. I can see it, like if you're in Turkey and you do that, you bring the belly dancers out, and then life is great. It's as simple as that. So now what about solo travelers? A lot of cruise lines like to soak solo travelers and make them pay for two people. And, there is a certain population that does travel solo. And, their needs need to be met as well. Does Azamara have a program for the solo traveler that would be less painful to the wallet?
Regarding it being less painful to the wallet, yes. Many of our voyages, we have a reduced supplement of only 25% more, so they're paying themselves and plus a quarter. We go up to double, which is standard. But right now, through the end of September, for voyages traveling March through September, we actually have a reduced supplement anywhere between 25 to 75%. So that is, I think, a savings, and that can help the wallet for sure. But on board, I think we do something that's really special too. Every night we host a single mix and mingle, which when I was much younger, I know you might think I'm young, and I am young, but when I was younger, and I'll say younger because when I started in the cruise business, I was 19 years old. I've been in the business now, starting my 19th year, so I've done some time. When I thought of single mix and mingle, especially on the more mass market brands, I had a completely different opinion of what a senior or a widow would imagine a singles mix and mingle on a cruise. And their goal and our goal when in providing this is just an opportunity for other singles to get together, so that way they're not cruising alone. So for example, at dinner time, prior to dinner, we'll have this cocktail party for singles to get together. That way they're not eating dinner alone. They'll walk into the dining room together. And then what's perfect is that then the next day, especially if they form a bond, the next day they're going off the ship together. And then the next night they're coming back to the dining room, dining together instead of alone, or going back to, or they'll go back to the singles mix and mingle event the next night and find another group of singles. Next thing you know, by the end of the voyage, they're requesting a table of 10 so they could all dine together. And I've actually met quite a few singles that now look out for our single or our reduced single rates and plan to travel together, but in separate rooms, because they don't want a roommate. They want to travel in their own room, but with somebody. So that's something that I've seen happen and evolve with Azamara, because the friendly pricing policy and because how we try to make them feel very welcome on board.
That's excellent. I'm not a single traveler. I usually come with my family. Now, that's the next thing. Families. Is Azamara really a family-friendly cruise line, or do you think it's more for adults only?
You know, that's a question that I struggle with, or I battle with, that people ask all the time. I've traveled with my kids. My kids are 5 and 7, and they weren't 5 and 7 when we went on Azamara. Actually, my daughter's first cruise, she was a year old, and we went from Venice to Rome. So here's the thing. If you're a typical cruiser and you're used to dropping your child off at the daycare center, then Azamara is not for you. And the reason why I say that, we don't have a kids program. We don't have professionals that are trained to take care of your kids, even though they probably could. We don't have a kid department or a kid area or kid programming or even babysitting service. So that's not it. But if you're used to traveling with your family and your kids, and maybe last year you went on a vacation to Europe, or you went and stayed in hotels and did a road trip and went from hotel to hotel and did that, then I think Azamara can be a good fit, because we have very few days at sea, so your children are not going to be bored. They're going to be off the ship with you, experiencing and exploring the destinations. And so it just depends what kind of vacationing you're used to with your kids, if you would find Azamara to be a good fit or not. However, I'll be upfront, the very few families are traveling with us because the length of our trips are sometimes pretty lengthy. Our average trip is about almost 12 nights. And you don't find typically a family being able to do that, because usually mom and dad are working, kids are in school. And so dedicating 12 nights minimum is going to be probably too much for a family to take on. So if the voyage is 7 nights or less, then the likelihood of maybe families or children increases, or something over the holidays maybe. But typically you're going to find, at least the 3 trips I've done with my kids, they're the only 2 kids on board.
They get extra attention though sometimes, when they're the only kids on board. I have a friend who was on another cruise line, and it was a 2,000 passenger ship, and her daughter was the only child on board, and it was almost a full ship. And the
Wow.
attention that little girl got, and she was 3.5 at the time, was just outstanding because you got to see all the social media posts. So I understand that, and and now the next question that's a corollary to that is maximum capacity of your cabins is what? How many?
So we have, if you're taking kids, depending on the age, you can fit 4 people, but the max number of beds that we accommodate is 3, and we have a handful of those rooms that accommodate 3. We have them in insides, we have them in ocean views, we have them in verandas, and then we also have them in some suites where you can fit 3. However, in our big suite, we usually, if there is a family that wants to travel in that room, we can, because of the space, we can accommodate a rollaway, which would make it 4. But we don't have any rooms with upper berths.
Yeah, because it's a bit more refined of a brand. You don't need to have the upper berths. So I get that. Connecting staterooms, yes or no?
Yeah, there are a few, very few again, but there are connecting staterooms.
Okay, because obviously my family of 5, we would need to go 2 and 3, and so I'd need to have a connecting stateroom. There's no doubt about that. I'm looking out for number 1 sometimes. Now, with COVID and all, obviously there's this big pause in cruising that still continues.
Yeah.
It's like guessing. It's like take a guess to find out when cruising will truly resume. We know that there's been some limited cruising going on. We know there are a few ships out there. There's one in the Asian area right now from Royal Caribbean actually going out, and there are some others that have been cruising in Europe. But obviously, we need to look ahead to maybe the second half of 2021 and all of 2022. So what are some of the itineraries that you want to spotlight that people should really think about, especially ones that have that are more localized to the U.S. as far as, departure arrivals go?
So typically we don't have departures from the U.S., but I'm excited to say that for November 26th, December 10th, and December 23rd, we will have departures from Miami. These are going to be Caribbean itineraries, which are not necessarily the best destination immersive type of things, because overnighting somewhere in the Caribbean isn't the same thing as overnighting somewhere else and around the world, especially maybe in Europe or in an Asian country. But with Azamara, one of the highlights of our Caribbean deployment is that we actually spent a full day in Labadee, which I'm sure you have a lot of customers and friends and watchers of this that have been to Labadee with Royal Caribbean, but when they've been, we're talking about a ship that holds close to 10,000 people with guests and crew. With Azamara, when we visit Labadee, we're the only vessel in Labadee.
Wow.
So with only 700 guests, 408 crew, we're talking about less than 2,000 people.
Less than 1,200 people, yeah.
That are experiencing that can be, and not everyone's going to get off the vessel. Some crew has to stay on board.
Right.
So it really is a private island experience. And then because everything on board Azamara is included, or close to everything is included, so is everything in Labadee. So therefore,
you can go on that little roller coaster train thing and do the little zip line thing.
Lava doozies, the buffet, the beach chairs, the suite beach. I don't know if you know, but there is a beach dedicated to suite guests with Royal Caribbean. I think it's called Nellie's Barefoot Beach. That beach is open to our guests because we put them out there and we don't take up much space on the island. So it is really a unique experience, and one that I would recommend. In addition to visiting the ABC Islands, another stop on that itinerary is we have St. John. So St. John, some of you have been to as a shore excursion from St. Thomas, but we actually tender right into the Yacht Club of St. John, and you can spend some time, much more time, and spend less time commuting and more time in St. John enjoying those gorgeous beaches. Another one, and so that's in November and December of 21. Another one that's starting up in May of 2020 that I think should get some attention, and we have some space because we just opened these up. It's we have a collection of 6 7-night round trip Athens Greek intensive itineraries with no days at sea. Every single day you're in a new Greek destination. But the highlight is going to be a late night in Santorini, a late night.
Oh my gosh.
So it is truly one itineraries not to miss. So I gave you a few options, 3 close to home, and 6 a little further away. But those are some that I would recommend in 21. And if you want to plan for 22 and 23, we have our deployment open all the way through April of 2023. The only downside is the only dates that I have US are the 3 that I mentioned, November 26th.
All right, that happens. You have a 3-ship fleet. You have to spread the wealth. I certainly understand. Now, how much is usually what's the percentage for a deposit per person? We need to get that out of the way.
Sure. So a deposit is $550 per person, $1,100 per person if you're traveling in one of our suites. Then your final payment is going to be due 120 days prior to departure, and then you get
You're ready to go.
You get to start. I'm sorry.
You're ready to go then.
Right. You're ready to go. You do your countdown. You start planning your shore excursions. Start planning what you want to do. But right now, I know really it's a sensitive time. Nobody really knows what the future's holding. So I will mention this, and I don't know if we're going to lead to this later, Scott, but we have Cruise with Confidence. And what Cruise with Confidence should give you is that confidence to make that investment, to plan your trip for 21 or 22, because what that assures you is the lowest price or the best promotion up to 48 hours prior to the cruise. Or should you feel unsettled and not want to travel, you can cancel up to 48 hours prior to the cruise and secure a voucher for this full amount that you paid to be used on another Azamara trip within the next year. Or better yet, you can secure the best offer and promotion that we have right now, which this is, I would, and maybe Scott, you could agree to this, the best time to plan a trip is now. The cruise lines have the best prices, the best offers, and then if you don't feel settled to travel in 21, guess what? You can lift and shift the cruise 1 year down the line and secure the same price for this year's trip for next year. Even though it's more expensive to travel next year, you don't pay more, you pay the same, and you keep the same perks and benefits that you secured for this year. So that's our lift and shift, and that's all our Cruise with Confidence. And we're doing that now because we understand nobody knows really what the future's holding. They feel very uncertain. You all feel uncertain about what the future may bring for cruising. So this is our way to try to give you a little bit of peace of mind.
I really appreciate that. Now, last thing before we go, do you have any specials up your sleeve that you can tell us about
Sure.
as far as upcoming cruising goes?
Yeah, so I can tell you, I don't like coming across salesy, so listen to this just because it's coming up. We have a promo that's been our Thanksgiving offer. It's ran as our Black Friday offer. It also ran as our Cyber Monday offer. We're offering a double upgrade promotion and up to $1,000 onboard credit for voyages traveling March of next year through September of next year. Now, this promotion, what I mean by double upgrade means you pay for an inside room but travel in a balcony, or you could pay for a balcony and travel in the suite of your choice, of the Club Continent suite of your choice. And the onboard credit is anywhere between $500 to $1,000 onboard credit on those trips. The sad news is that that promotion expires December 5th. So we have 2 days left on that promotion. But don't be afraid, because December 7th, we're going to run our new offer. This new offer is going to run for 3 months. It will end at the end of March. So you have plenty of time for that. And it's going to offer up to 40% off plus free Wi-Fi. So remember I mentioned one of those things we don't include? Well, beginning December 7th, through March 31st, we will offer free Wi-Fi on rooms of Ocean View or higher, and up to a 40% discount. And that's going to run for voyages March of 2021 through April of 2022. So that's going to give you plenty of time to plan. And that's it. We haven't even announced that publicly yet.
Whoa, this is an exclusive to the Walters Wandering Travel Podcast. Unbelievable. All right, give you a round of applause for that. All right, so Lionel, you've been very informative. The Azamara Cruise Line is definitely one worth looking into if you want a more boutique experience, I guess you could call it. Yeah. The more immersive, the more cultural experience. If you're not the person that just lies on the beach at every port of call, you may want to consider Azamara as an alternative, because there are a lot of things you can do, and if you can walk off the boat and just be right in town, I mean, that's really a bonus. There's no doubt. And again, 700 people on board. That's not a whole lot in cruising world, because I've been on ships with 5,000 other humans, and oh boy, that's not my thing. I like them a little smaller than that. So I really appreciate you being on board with us today, and I thank you so much. And that basically does it for the Walter's Wandering Travel Podcast. This is episode number 8. I appreciate you all watching. Have a great day, and stay tuned for more on my YouTube channel. Thank you.
Bye.